and check. I mean, we're here in real time. We can go ahead and 615-737-9986. Have you seen anything? I don't see anything on the YouTubes. No, we're not on the YouTube.
Okay.
We're on YouTube.
We're on YouTube? What? Is it because you just hit the button?
Well, that's something.
I don't see us with the little live insignia.
I just got it.
Did you?
So we're on it?
We're on YouTube.
Heck yeah.
Oh, I'm going to text my dad right now.
Heck yeah, we are. Oh, look, there's me in my red and white checkered shirt. It looks like I'm a table in an old school diner.
You look like a Yogi Bear's about to walk up. Hey, boo boo.
Right. A little picnic basket.
Great movie.
There you go. So,
hey, Dad Chad, are you watching us on YouTube?
Ken's talking to his dad. What's he say, Ken?
Let's see if he gets back to me.
We're back, baby.
I think it's too hot in Oklahoma to go fishing.
No.
So, because yesterday he was watching us. He watches us most days. Of course, Mom and Dad, they'll watch us late at night.
Mm-hmm.
They watch the rebroadcast.
Do they now?
Yeah, they'll be up at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Hey,
They ain't got anything to do.
hello, Mama Weaver. Hello, Dad Weaver. Pop Weaver. What do we call Mr. Weaver? Mr. Weaver?
Joe.
Mr. Well, I'll go with Mr. Joe, and that's about as far as I'm
Joe
going.
Weaver.
Mr. Joe, thank you for watching. Mama Weaver, thank you for
Weaver,
watching.
She's Patsy.
I'm going to go with Mama Weaver.
I call him Dad Jed. I call him Dad Jed and Mom Jom.
Do you now? Well, welcome back. Thank y'all for being there. Y'all can go watch on the YouTubes and see my ugly shirt on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Back up and running. I know that's going to make Dan Mandis very happy in the morning. I don't know.
I hit the button.
By the way, you're the savior.
That's way to go, Brother Jackson.
That's how to get it done. You hit the button. You didn't ask permission.
Did not.
He just did.
You just did it. And to hell with it. And now we know. Now we can get away with anything we want to on the YouTubes.
No, because we couldn't hit the button yesterday. The button was disabled.
And today the button was not.
I noticed the button was enabled today.
All right. Well, very good. I would have.
So you mean we could have been on all day long?
Probably after Mandis.
After Mandis.
Wow. Wait a minute. Hold on.
Dan didn't.
Hold on. That's kind of a slight to our brand new digital guru, Mason. That's a little bit of an underhanded little jab. Not that
he ain't gonna like that.
Mason's not going to care for that, Jackson. Might want to repair that. One way or the other, we're back up and running. More than I could.
So Matt, why don't you show everybody that new Glock you just got?
Everybody's doing it. I mean, hey, let me show you my fancy new piece. Here, I'll show you how to load it.
Oh,
I mean, I'm a little hesitant to talk about this. I feel like if
they're gonna cut us right off.
if we talk about it, they'll cut us right back off. Here's what I want to say real quick, and I'm going to turn our attention to a little more of a serious nature and serious matters. The Supreme Court of the United States of America has ruled in a number of ways that I believe furthers the concepts of freedom and liberty in this country. And they rule in certain ways that sometimes it's very confusing for me, particularly with a court that is just about as conservative as you could hope to get it. I don't expect that any of the 3 liberal justices will be retiring anytime soon, sad to say. I do expect that if there are, there was an erroneous report earlier today that Justice Samuel Alito had retired from the court. That was from National Public Radio. It turned out to be wishful thinking on their part, and they had to issue a retraction. We are in a battle for the future of our country. And I don't know if Republican elected leadership recognizes the serious nature of the battle that we find ourselves in or not, but we certainly are in the midst of that battle. Here's who I know knows about it: the political left. They've made it plain and clear that they are aware, that they welcome any and all combatants that are willing to come in on their side and vote for their people, no matter how far that lurches them away from the basic concepts of freedom and liberty and democracy. I'll use the word that they've always used. We understand that we're a constitutional republic. I've had this fight for many, many years. democracy is a perfectly serviceable term for what we are. The Democrats have co-opted it to turn it into something nasty. But democracy is a very broad term for government that is determined by the people that are governed. And there are two forms of democracy. There's direct democracy, which is an inert form of the concept, and there's indirect democracy. You don't find direct democracies around very much anymore. I mean, there are some localities that engage in direct democracy, because direct democracy is everybody votes on everything. You know, if Ken Weaver and Jackson Williams and young Samuel over here in the corner and Matt Murphy, if we decide we're going to form our own government and it's going to be a direct democracy, then every decision that is made, we all vote on it. Well, that's not any way to run a railroad, especially in a country with 350 million people in it. And so we engage in what we call constitutional or representative republic. That means that we elect individuals that then represent us to vote and make decisions on our behalf as to how the country is going to move forward. Y'all with me so far? There are other forms of republics. There's a constitutional republic, as we are. There's a constitutional monarchy. That's what the UK operates under, where they have a king or a queen. And there are many countries that operate under a monarchy-style system, but that also incorporates democracy within that system. It's a constitutional monarchy. All of that to say, democracy, they've left it behind. These Democrats, these liberals, these leftists, I call them leftist more than anything because I think it's an all-encompassing term to what they are. They believe in lurching the nation further and further to the left until we reach the concepts of socialism, and then they're going to go beyond the concepts of socialism, which is a more philosophical statement as to how you believe a country should be ruled. An economic and political system would be incorporated in that would involve communism. Socialism and communism are overlays of the same type of system. One is leaning more on an economic system. The other leans on a political system. That's the communist side of this. All socialists become communists because communism is necessary in order to tamp down the natural desire that the people of any nation have to govern themselves freely and to live a life of their own choosing. They don't want a centralized government telling them how they must live their lives. They don't want a lack of freedom, liberty, and opportunity that they previously, in most cases, had, and so they push back against it, and communism is the natural result of socialism. That is where all of this is going. And if you don't think that we're in the battle of our lives for the future of our country, I don't know what to tell you. And what we learned today on the issue of birthright citizenship is that, sadly, the Supreme Court of the United States of America, as much as they have been right in many instances over the last couple of years, they are not here to save us. We must elect people to do that for us. We must insist that those that we elect are doing what we expect them to do to push back against the scourge of socialism and communism that is infiltrating the United States of America. And we better be willing to fight. We are in the battle of our lives. We are in the battle of the future for this country right now, and I am not overstating the case. Let's talk about it. 615-737-9986. We'll do so by reflecting on the decision that was made, and I'll give you my thoughts on the birthright citizenship case and a better decided case, in my opinion, a lack of men and women's sports. That's all to come on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for Grace Point Healthcare. Modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way, a direct pay primary care provider. That means that all treatment decisions are made between you and the medical staff of Grace Point, not your insurance company. The insurance company should not be in the room when you're making these types of decisions. And at Grace Point Healthcare, they believe in treating the whole body with a comprehensive medical approach, getting to the root of the problem and not just treating those symptoms. Grace Point Healthcare wants to see you, and they don't believe in making you wait. As a matter of fact, when you call, oftentimes you'll get in same day or very next day, and you don't have to wait when you get to the waiting room either. They don't believe in that. They think you should get right on back. You shouldn't wait an hour sitting in the waiting room. When your appointment's at 2 o'clock, you should be seen at 2 o'clock. That's the way they do things. Ask about the Smart Care Plan when you make the call to 599-6868, 599-6868. Also, Grace Point Healthcare treats newborns to seniors. That means they're the perfect clinic to get your kids back to school and sports physicals. Just a thought here, friends. Grace Point Healthcare, located in the heart of Franklin, modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way.
Got the full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. And with the heat index expected to reach 114 degrees through Friday here in Middle Tennessee, emergency crews in Nashville are handing out cold water, cold towels. They're checking on people during the hottest time of the days, which is between 1 and 4 p.m. in the afternoon. 29-year-old Logan King filled a cart with cold water and snacks provided by emergency workers who stopped by an outdoor homeless camp behind a Walmart yesterday.
Even with the shade and a tent, you know what I'm saying? It's four walls closed in, no fan. It gets hot.
Metro Nashville Social Services conducting welfare checks on seniors and the disabled. They're delivering emergency meals of non-perishable foods where needed. Had a big power outage last night in Nashville. Channel 4's Brendan Tierney says a snake knocked out power to about 7,000 people in Bordeaux.
People say they saw a large flash in the distance and their lights and air conditioners went off when it was still close to 90 degrees outside.
Here we go again, because the power tends to go out over here when we have storms or just kind of, a random event that might happen.
The Capehart family pulled out their battery-powered fans and all got together in the living room, but say thankfully the power came back on about 30 minutes later.
Yeah, it was good because, without the lights, it would be really hot inside.
The TVA says they don't expect to have any problems making enough electricity to meet the demand this week. They're projecting things to peak well below previous record usage.
A lot of people not happy with Fisk University's plan to add a data center, and News 2 says they did not hold back at the first public hearing on the plan last night.
It's a community that has been hurting for decades, being dumped on by landfills, money being taken out of their community. A whole interstate went right through.
Well, Fisk President Dr. Angenia Clark said no final plans have been approved and no development partner has been selected.
We will have no interest in bringing in methane gas fuel turbine engines. This wasn't a finished deal. This isn't something that's been finalized. We were being transparent and saying this is what we're visioning for our future.
Still, critics remain skeptical, with an online petition against the project at Fisk University now drawing more than 16,000 signatures. President Trump says the Supreme Court's decision to uphold birthright citizenship is disappointing for the country, and he says Congress can address the issue through legislation, and they need to do it today. Here's Stephen Portnoy.
The 6-3 decision reaffirms the Supreme Court's 1898 ruling that except for the children of ambassadors, all people born in the U.S. are citizens under the 14th Amendment. Chief Justice John Roberts was joined in his opinion by fellow conservative Amy Coney Barrett and the court's 3 liberal justices, while Trump appointee Brett Kavanaugh said he agreed with the outcome of the case. The court's 3 other conservatives, Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, and Neil Gorsuch, dissented.
Yeah, another ruling, the Supreme Court upheld state laws that ban boys who transition to girls from playing girls and women's sports. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Right now, the big slowdown is southbound 65 through Millersville. It is, bumper to bumper and crawling. We've got crashes to contend with. One in Clarksville, going to be 24 eastbound past Rossview Road. Bell Road, just south of Stewart's Ferry Pike. Brentwood, Edmondson Pike, south of Old Hickory Boulevard. Glencliff, a crash, 24 westbound before Briley Parkway South. I'm Ken Weaver.
All right, friends, let's just cut to the chase. This is the Matt Murphy Radio Show when we're back in full song on all of the platforms that you know and enjoy. 99.7 FM. I see him over there. 99.7 FM on your radio dial from Kentucky to Alabama and all points in between. We're also on Spotify, TuneIn, iHeart. Those are just the 3 apps of note. The big boys. We're also on our own app, Supertalk 99.7 WTN. You can take us wherever you go if you download that app on your smartphone or your laptop. And then there's Talk TV. That's right. We're back on Talk Television. Now, we were always there on Facebook. We were always there on the Twitter and the Twitch and the Rumble. But now we are back on the YouTubes. Many of you enjoy the YouTubes, and we're back on the YouTubes. Here's the long story. Some of you just joining us, you're like, what happened on the YouTubes? I haven't been around. I was out of town for a couple of days, and I came back, and you weren't on the YouTubes. Here's what happened. Dan broke it, and Jackson clicked the button. That's just getting to from the beginning to the end. That's what happened. Dan broke it, and it was broken, and then Jackson found the little shoelace that was untied, and he retied the shoelace, and now we're back up and running. And I think that's a fair statement. 615-737-9986. It's also episode 1067 of our gatherings on Supertalk 99.7 WTN together. So I was just texting with our good friend and colleague, Chris Hand, from 9 until noon on Supertalk 99.7 WTN. And he was indicating to me, and this makes perfect sense, that while NPR perhaps jumped the gun on the retirement of Samuel Alito, it has been reported that Samuel Alito is not in the best of health. It has secondarily been reported that Samuel Alito has no interest in, serving in his capacity as a United States Supreme Court justice until such time as he passes away. Some do, some don't. There's also a suggestion that you don't want to run into the uncertainty of a Democrat administration if you're someone like Samuel Alito and you'd prefer to see your seat filled with a fellow conservative justice on the United States Supreme Court, or what I would call a constitutionalist on the United States Supreme Court. And the idea is, and I'll hat tip to Hand, because he said that a source that he has in D.C. has indicated that perhaps this retirement is not imminent and has yet to be announced, but that it is perhaps forthcoming, and that the White House is preparing for a nomination process for another Supreme Court justice to replace Justice Samuel Alito. And there are several justices' names that have been floated, and that's just a very interesting concept. It would not surprise me at all. What you don't want to do, there's no time like the present. You're in a break. It gives you an opportunity to actually make the Senate do something for a change. Secondarily, you don't want to wait too much longer, because if you wait too much longer, the Democrats are going to try to pull a McConnell and refuse to allow any nomination process to move forward as best that they can while we're deciding another presidential election in 2028. If you wait for another Supreme Court session, if Samuel Alito even feels like he has another year in him, if he doesn't feel like he's got several years in him to get him beyond, it is a sad testimony, but it is truth that the Supreme Court nomination process has become very politicized. in its nature. The justices are not immune from this politicalization. And so they would like to see the furtherance of a court that they believe in, a furtherance of an interpretation of the Constitution of the United States that they believe in. And with that in mind, it would make sense that Samuel Alito would want to retire while Donald Trump was in office. The name that Chris and I were talking about, I feel fairly comfortable in saying this, there's a name being floated that is James Ho, or Jim Ho, who is currently a justice on the 5th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals. 53 years of age, was a lawyer and now a jurist serving as a United States Circuit Judge of the U.S. Supreme Court or U.S. Court of Appeals for the 5th Circuit, appointed in 2018 by President Donald Trump. Became the 5th Circuit's only Asian American judge and the only judge that is an immigrant on that court, I would assume. Was born in Taipei, Taiwan, and immigrated to the United States of America and I believe lived in Texas. Has been identified as a potential Supreme Court nominee for Donald Trump's second term. So that would be a very interesting nomination process, to say the least. I mean, obviously, the Democrats are going to oppose any nominee that Donald Trump brings up. Good news, bad news on the court today. Birthright citizenship was, or the challenge on birthright citizenship was struck down by the United States Supreme Court. I believe that it was a wrongly decided issue. I believe that birthright citizenship has been, the concept of birthright citizenship has been morphed into something that was never intentionally designed to be. Matter of fact, one of the framers of the 14th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States made it clear that they were not talking about foreigners when they were discussing those born in the United States of America being citizens of said same. They were primarily dealing with slaves and the descendants of slaves. Those born out of the evil institution of slavery were considered naturally to be citizens of the United States of America despite their previous enslavement. That is the nature of the 13th. I mean, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment were the amendments as a direct consequence of the United States Civil War, obviously. I believe Scott Speaking's on the line. I want to get to Ben real quick. And Scott, hang in there. I want to get to you for a slightly lengthier conversation regarding a better decision, a better decided case by the Supreme Court, and that would be boys in girls sports. Hello, Ben. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. What's on your mind?
Well, I've been jumping up and down on that soapbox about our country being a constitutional republic for about the last 5 years, because every time I hear the Democrats say that Donald Trump is a threat to our democracy, it just blows me up. Because, in fact, he is. Because he wants to bring us back to being run under the Constitution. That's all I had.
Well, the Democrats like the word democracy because it's kind of a will of the mob mentality. We're a nation of laws, and as you well know, Ben, a constitutional republic depends on the rule of law in order to exist. We don't deal in the rule of the mob. More broadly, I've made this argument, and I understand people consider it a semantic one, and that's fine, that democracy is a very broad term. Direct democracy and indirect democracy are two different things. A representative or constitutional republic is a form of an indirect democracy. That it is a type of indirect democracy. A constitutional republic is a type of indirect democracy. So it is a more broad term, but it leans in on their concept that they believe the will of the mob should rule, not the rule of law. Scott Sapicki joins us on the show to talk about, well, a bill that I believe he was a sponsor of in the Tennessee General Assembly that eventually was argued before the United States Supreme Court, made its way up there. A.G. Skermetti and his team successfully now have argued that it is the right of the state of Tennessee to disallow boys from participating and taking up spots that otherwise would be taken up by girls in athletics in our high schools and other systems. Scott, what do you think about it, man? Got to be a good day, right?
It is, Matt. When I ran this bill about 3 years ago, we were pioneers in the country, believe it or not. Utah tried this and was struck down in the courts. And the bill that I wrote, along with some help, it passed the Tennessee General Assembly and made its way through the appeals process all the way up to the Supreme Court. There were, I believe, 17 other states that copied our legislation and passed it. And it was a good day today that common sense prevailed, Matt, that people are understanding, and it's okay that there's a physiological difference in athletics between men and women, and the Supreme Court upheld that and gave us the ability to wield common sense in the state of Tennessee and other states around the country.
Well, I mean, obviously, it's a wonderful decision on the part of the court, and it protects the young ladies, which was the entire design and the spirit of the law passed by the General Assembly. I mean, no one, and you and I have talked about this in the past, I don't know of anyone within the General Assembly that is not sensitive to the fact that there are young people that are going through psychological issues. Some of those psychological issues manifest themselves in some sort of gender dysphoria. Those folks need help. We want to get them the help that they need, but that should not mean that they should abuse the rights of young ladies to participate in athletic endeavors in these school-aged zones. I mean, it's pretty obvious. Common sense has prevailed here that we're not going to allow those individuals to jump over or to take over athletics for women, for young girls.
Well, you're 100% correct. I think the idea, Matt, was that we needed to protect the integrity of athletics to where men would be competing in athletic events amongst men and women amongst women, because we inherently understand that there's a difference physically between men and women. I'll give you a great example. If you've ever played golf, there's men's and women's tees. There's a reason for that, and it's just physiologically and biologically, men can hit the ball further than women. And in tennis, you may not remember this. I don't know if you were in Tennessee or not when I ran the bill. Martina Navratilova chimed in, the great tennis star, and she said it's a common sense bill that protects women's sports because as a professional and in her day one of the best female tennis players in the world, acknowledged that if she had to compete against men, she just would have been average. And so it protects women's sports. It maintains the integrity of women's sports, and I'm glad the Supreme Court agreed with us that, hey, common sense prevails here. Let's just keep boys and girls sports.
And that's, I mean, that was the concept of the legislation. Just take us back through what exactly the legislation does. It was, if you were born a biological male, you're not allowed to compete in sports that are participated in by biological females. Is that the basic premise?
That is correct, unless it's a co-ed sport acknowledged by the organization. But yes, if you're born a biological male, you are restricted from playing in female sports. And if you're a female, you're not allowed to play in men's sports unless it's allowed by the men's. Because remember, there's normally not a physiological advantage for a woman to play in a male sport. They were allowed to play in men's sports if they wanted to.
Well, that's right. I've noted that, and I don't know if the PGA of America has changed their rules. And I would have to check. I know as of a couple of years ago, the LPGA, right, the Ladies Professional Golf Association, had a rule against men participating, right? I mean, it pretty makes sense, right? No, if you're a biological male, you're not allowed to participate. Did you know the PGA has no such rule about women? Because
there's no advantage for a woman to play against the men.
Right, and which is one of the reasons that you might recall that Annika Sorenstam, the greatest female golfer of her or perhaps any generation, at one time was invited to play in the Colonial, which was a fairly short course on the PGA Tour. I think it was like 5,900 yards or something like that. And she did. She participated. I mean, obviously, she's playing from the same tees and doing the same deal as all of the fellas. She was invited to play, and she did play. But that's kind of a one-off. But, the PGA identifies the best golfers in the United States of America. The LPGA is specifically for the women, and this is the case for many, many sports in many, many different levels, to include, obviously, our public schools, our grade schools, and our high schools.
Correct. Well, you've heard the Alyssa Thomas and Riley Gaines story There was the track athlete in I think New Hampshire that was an average men's college track athlete, and then decided that he was transgender, and then was dominating and winning championships on the female side. We saw the MMA boxer that said that he was a woman and was breaking female jaws. And then in the Olympics, and we saw the Olympics change now, right? That men cannot participate in female Olympics, and so I think, Matt, we're just getting back to some common sense, and a lot of common sense is coming out of Tennessee right now, and it was glad to see that the Supreme Court upheld the work that we did a couple of years ago.
Well, and I should note that there's more work to be done for those young ladies that live in states whose representatives in their state legislative bodies have sadly abandoned them. Because the courts, I don't believe, if I'm reading the ruling correctly, they did not address those states that allow for this type of activity. They simply said that Tennessee can rightly place restrictions on boys participating in female sports. I think the next step in all of this is to see lawsuits in places like California, Washington State, and some of these other more liberal states challenging the ability for boys to participate in female sports in those states as well. That has not been addressed by this court, I don't believe, unless I'm reading it incorrectly. But that's the next phase. This is step one. There's another step to try to protect all of the young ladies across the United States of America.
And hopefully Congress is paying attention, and they will take this and run with it, and it'll be the law of the land.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, well done by you guys. I don't get to say that about you political folk very often, Sapicki. Well done. Good job, bud. No, I kid, obviously. No, I mean, it's a good day. I mean, birthright citizenship didn't quite go our way. I think that was kind of anticipated just based on the split of the court, but obviously this is a big deal and a big day for the state of Tennessee and for the United States of America.
Well, Matt, I agree, and it's just we will keep fighting the battles as they come to us.
Scott, thank you, brother. Go get that hay.
Matt.
See ya.
See you, buddy.
Sapicki down on the farm gathering hay as we speak. That's Scott Sapicki joining us for a few moments talking about Tennessee's involvement in this case. There were a couple of other states that were also involved. Idaho, I think, was one of them. West Virginia was another. The court upheld state protections reserving women's sports for women. Court held that state law reserving women's and girls' biological sports or sports for biological females do not violate Title IX or the Equal Protection Clause. In other words, sex means biological sex. It's not subjective. That can change from person to person. 26 after the hour, quick time out. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, you got bugs? Man, those bugs are loving this hot weather. They're probably trying to come in and get to your cool. I mean, they do that, right? I mean, they want what's yours. They're little communists, these bugs. We're talking about spiders and ants and roaches and silverfish and ladybugs and ticks and fire ants from outside and fleas. All of these things want inside of your home, and they'll jump on the bodies of your pets. They will jump on you, if they so desire, to try to get into your home, and then they take up residence, and now they're breeding little baby bugs. You need to stop this process by calling U.S. Pest. They're your one-stop shop for all things pest control in the state of Tennessee. They understand Tennessee weather. They understand the common Tennessee pests that can impact you. They understand termites. Termites affect every home in this state. Preventative and corrective services are available with a 100% money-back guarantee. Obviously, they're dealing with common Tennessee pests as well, and they want to help you. Go ahead and make the call for a free consultation, a free inspection of your home, termite and pest inspection, by making the call to 590-1260. That's 590-1260, or online at uspest.com. They love America. They hate bugs. It's U.S. Pest.
Full forecast and another traffic update in 5 minutes. And here in Nashville, emergency crews handing out cold water, cold towels, and other supplies, checking on people during the hottest time of the day, which is between 1 and 4 p.m. 29-year-old Logan King filled a cart with cold water and snacks provided by some of those emergency workers who stopped by an outdoor homeless camp behind a Walmart.
We be out here, there's no water out here. Asking somebody for 75 cents gets, old just to be able to get something to drink. So people doing this means a lot, man. It gives boost of morale.
And Metro Nashville Social Services conducting welfare checks on seniors and the disabled and delivering emergency meals of non-perishable foods. President Trump calling on Congress to take action immediately. In fact, he put in all caps today, following the Supreme Court's ruling on birthright citizenship. In a statement, Trump said lawmakers can pursue legislation instead of a constitutional amendment. Speaker Mike Johnston.
I'm very disappointed in that outcome. I think it subjects the country to serious challenges going forward, and we'll have to deal with it as Congress.
That 6-3 decision reaffirms the Supreme Court's 1898 ruling that except for the children of ambassadors, all people born in the U.S. are citizens under the 14th Amendment. Chief Justice John Roberts was joined in his opinion by fellow conservative Amy Coney Barrett and the court's 3 liberal justices, while Trump appointee Brett Kavanaugh said he agreed with the outcome of the case. The court's 3 other conservatives dissented. Ford is issuing another recall for some of its most popular SUVs, as we hear from ABC's Mike Dubusky.
Certain Fords and Lincolns could unexpectedly roll away if there's damage to the park system in the vehicle's transmission, the company says. That's why Ford is recalling 740,000 Lincoln Navigators and Aviators and Ford Explorers, Expeditions, and F-150 pickup trucks. According to the recall notice, 24 allegations of property damage and 9 injuries have resulted from the issue. Owners will be notified in August if their trucks are affected. Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Crashes, Clarksville, 24 eastbound past Rossview Road, Bell Road south of Stewart's Ferry Pike, Bell Road east of Brookview Estates, in Brentwood, Edmondson Pike south of Old Hickory Boulevard, and Pleasant View, Cheatham County. 24 westbound before Springfield, Ashland City, exit 24. Glencliff, 24 westbound before Briley Parkway South. And in Brentwood, a crash is blocking the right lane, 65 northbound at Old Hickory Boulevard. I'm Ken Weaver.
All right, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Find us on the radio, 99.7 FM. You can find us on a variety of apps, podcast locations, and the like. And then, of course, Talk TV, back on the YouTubes, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble. We thank you for whichever way that you happen to consume the show. We appreciate you very much. Speaking of consumption, I do have a audio-video clip for you. This came from NBC earlier today. You cannot possibly hate the mainstream media enough. Listen to the mainstream media giving a trigger warning to the audience about using the term biological male. This is some of these knuckleheads on NBC. I don't know their names.
Just a quick note here. The terms that we're using here during our reporting, biological male, biological female, the High Court put those terms in quotations in their decision and their dissent. But just so you know, we're using those terms from the decision itself, biological male, biological female.
What? Just one more time for those in the back. So they're essentially apologizing for using the term biological male and biological female for fear that it's going to trigger someone?
Just a quick note here. The terms that we're using here during our reporting, biological male, biological female, the High Court put those terms in quotations in their decision and their dissent. Just a quick note here.
So wait a minute. You jackholes don't use these terms normally because why? You basically got three chances here. You got biological male, you got biological female, and you've got hermaphrodite, a.k.a. mistake. No offense to all of you hermaphrodites in the listening audience. We appreciate your listening. We appreciate you participating in the show as best you can. Thank you for being a part of the Matt Murphy family. But that's what you have. You have biological male, biological female, and accident. Right? And look, I've tried to be as sensitive as anybody to the idea of gender dysphoria, legitimate gender dysphoria, which accounts for a minuscule, an absolutely minuscule portion of the American population. I mean, hell, best we can figure transgenderism is about 0.3%, and legit gender dysphoria is a minuscule portion of those claiming to be transgendered. And what many of our liberal friends expect us to do is to bow before the altar of what amounts to a minuscule portion of the American population for the purpose of what? Virtue signaling? Feeling better about one's self? You want to reconstruct society, human interaction with other humans because of accidents. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm trying to be real. Oh, should I offer a trigger warning like NBC did? I don't think so. I probably should offer a trigger warning when Mike and Old Hickory calls. Hello, Mike.
How you doing, Matt?
I'm great, Mike. How are you?
A very good ruling on the men and girls subject. Very good. But the other two that they did today, three actually, but two were really bad, was the mail-in ballots and the birthright. They were so wrong on both of those that it's really going to affect our country because once they rule that you can now keep voting after polls close, mail-in ballots, keep voting, that is going to ruin our country. And then the birthright, which ties right into that means that these people like Ilhan Omar and all her ilk and all the E-Bobs and whatever, they can come over to this country illegally, marry their brothers, drop a kid. Mm-hmm. That kid then becomes a citizen, and therefore the Supreme Court ruled that kid allows his whole family, which could be 40, 50, 60, 80, to come into the United States and then vote legally. So those are two terrible decisions against one good decision.
Well, let's talk about the mail-in ballot decision, because we had a healthy discussion about this yesterday, because the decision actually dropped yesterday morning on that one. So I disagree with mail-in balloting. I disagree with the idea of anything above and beyond absentee voting. If you have a legitimate reason to vote absentee, you must demonstrate that reason to your county clerk, and you can vote absentee only if that reason is verified and that reason is justified. Other than that, I don't believe in mail-in balloting. However, a lot of states have it. What the courts ruled, and I'm not trying to argue with you, Mike, but I would say that the courts did not say that you can vote after the election day is done. What they said was that if you have postmarked your vote prior to the election day conclusion, that those votes can be collected then by the state and counted by the state post-election day.
Okay, then let me step in here.
Okay.
Would you let me step in here?
Yeah,
then?
go ahead.
Then, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to postmark envelopes, thousands of them, postmark them, then wait for the results of the election on election night. And if it doesn't turn out my way, I'm going to mail those in. So I can still cheat by backdating postmarks, because that's what they do.
Okay, how are you? So, I mean, if I work with your analogy, I'm a little. How are you postmarking these things? You don't do that. The Postal Service does.
Well, but hey, no.
Well, look. If there's cheating going on, we need to ferret out that cheating. I think we need to.
Okay, what you're saying is the post office watches all this, right?
The post office postmarks mail.
Yes.
It's a postmark. Yes.
What you're saying is that you trust mail. You just said before, you do not trust mail-in ballots.
I don't believe
that
in
has
it.
to go through the post office.
I don't believe in it.
I don't believe in it either. I don't. But if what you're saying then is that if you don't believe in it, then why are they doing it?
Because some states allow for it. Some states vote.
The Supreme Court doesn't agree with you because they say they believe in it.
No, that's not what the courts ruled. The courts ruled that it was up to the individual states to determine the validity of those postmarks ballots. That you cannot. The majority of the court said, and once again, I'm just trying to help you understand the ruling. The court said that the choice of the electorate is made prior to the election day being done. The counting of the choice can be done after the voting has closed. You can agree with that or disagree with that. I think a lot of this would be solved by eliminating all mail-in ballots, and I think the Congress of the United States of America could do that and should do that.
Well, they can't now because the Supreme Court ruled you can't do that.
That's not true. No, that's not true. The Supreme Court ruled that the states have the ability to do so absent any congressional action. If the Congress takes action, then that could supersede in a federal election process the activities of the states.
You mean like the Save America Act?
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. That's very good, Mike.
So in other words,
I do.
In other words, if the Save America Act gets passed, they can't do that then, right? They can't postmark, and the post office then is going to have to follow the rule of law that, you got to count the votes at closing time, not 3 weeks later through mail-in ballots, right?
I wouldn't disagree with that either. I don't have a problem. Look, once again, I don't have a problem with the Congress acting. I do understand why the courts decided in the manner that they did. Because in the absence of congressional action, the courts are going to defer to the states. I believe in the states' ability to decide these things for themselves. I'm a federalist. I believe that states' rights matter. States' rights, we should lean on the rights of the states to make these determinations more so than the federal government, unless and until we believe that the states are making decisions that are extracurricular to the Constitution of the United States. That's my position. On the issue of mail-in ballots, I don't agree with mail-in ballots. I do not believe that we should be voting in this manner. However, the states' individual little experiments, 50 of them. Some of them have determined that that is a method by which they're going to allow their constituencies to vote. It is up to the courts to determine whether or not they're allowing voting after Election Day or they are simply counting votes after Election Day. And as easy as I can understand it, what the courts have determined, or the majority of the court determined, was that you are counting votes after Election Day as opposed to casting votes after Election Day. And that's a key distinction in the court's determination. I wouldn't have it this way at all, but I understand what the court is saying here. At least I can understand the court's determination. I can disagree with the process and still understand why the courts decided what they decided. The courts put it back into the lap of Congress, the most woefully ineffective branch of government in America is the United States Senate. The House of Representatives is not far behind them. And they better get their asses in gear here because they've got a lot of work to do. They could go a long way in solving the issue of birthright citizenship as well. Sometimes the courts decide not to lay their hands on something because they do not wish to be. This is one of the ways that I do not want to become liberals. I don't want to become leftists. I don't want to become that which I regularly denounce, and that is activism on the court for thee, not for me. I don't believe in courts that are activist courts. Sadly, the liberals are willing to do everything and anything to get their way above and beyond the rule of law and above and beyond the expectations of the Constitution. I'm not willing to go there. And so sometimes the courts say things because the Congress has refused to act on certain things, and they're going to defer to the states when it comes to those types of things. It's what they did with the males playing female sports. They're like, no, we're not touching that. That's up to the individual states. And yes, it does not, and no, it does not violate Title IX, and yes, it does violate the rights of some of these individuals, but we were asked a very specific question. Is it permissible for states to ban biological males in what is predominantly biological female activities, sports, and otherwise? And the answer was yes, that is permissible. They weren't asked whether it's permissible for states to allow it. If they were asked that question, I think the courts would come up with a different conclusion regarding Title IX and regarding the rights of the young girls. It is 10 minutes until 5 o'clock, and this is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hello, friends. It's hot, hot, hot. I forget how wonderful we have it in Middle Tennessee to have Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. I'm going to tell you a personal story. My in-laws recently had their AC go out, and they live down in Montgomery, Alabama. And sadly, that is just outside of the Efficient Heating and Cooling area, their service area. Well, the price tag came back, and it was a steep one. It was steep, friends, and I guess we're spoiled here in Middle Tennessee because we've got these low maintenance costs on your AC unit. I mean, Jeff Eddy says for a maintenance call, they're never going to charge you over $125 in their service area, and oftentimes it's less than that. That's their commitment to you to try to get you to make sure that everything's going well. Now, if you have an additional issue, there will be a little bit of an additional cost to solve that issue, but they're ready to solve it. They want to do so as inexpensively as possible, so to get you back up and running again without having to give you the bad news that you need replacement. Now, the fact of the matter is, at some point, you're going to hear that bad news. And when Jeff Eddy and his team tell you that news, you know that they're being as truthful as the day is long. They're being forthright with you, and they're giving you the full explanation and the full range of options that you need to make a decision for you and your family. Go to efficienthvac.net for more information. They're an elite pro partner with Rheem. They can help you out in anything that you might have with regard to questions or whatnot. 615-784-4424, 784-4424 for our friends at Efficient.
President Trump just announced on Truth Social that the Republican Party will hold its first ever midterm convention in Dallas in September. That story and more coming up at 5 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That story's coming up before 5.
Oh, you're going to steal it from me.
Because I got it.
Oh.
Right here in my
I shouldn't have said anything about, well, you already had it. Never mind.
My formerly nicotine-stained fingers, as the great Rush used to say.
Yes, sir.
My apologies, Ken. I don't like doing this, but it is big news.
That's all right.
Yeah, for the first time ever, the Republican Party will hold a midterm convention in Dallas, Texas. One of my favorite places in the world, said Donald Trump. It will be fantastic. It's never been done before. It will truly be a historic event. We're going to celebrate the great American comeback and the incredible successes of the American people who have transformed our country through an America First agenda. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, stronger borders, safest ever communities, lower costs, and real affordability, more jobs, American energy dominance, and so much more. Oil prices are dropping sharply, even as we denuclearize Iran. We are delivering on the promises that politicians talked about for decades but never got done. At the event, we'll have our hardworking Americans, our great innovators, entrepreneurs, manufacturers, first responders, job creators, who are powering our nation's golden age and proving that America's best days are still ahead of us. We will also have lots of great entertainment. We will be a rally like none other. America's 250th birthday is approaching, and together we are building the foundation for the next 250 years of American greatness. Dallas will take center stage on September 9th and 10th. As we celebrate our nation, our achievements, and our bright future. The golden age of America has only just begun. President Donald J. Trump. All right, so that's the 9th and the 10th, big rally, midterm convention, if you will. Like Trump mentioned, something that has previously not been done. But you know what? Donald Trump is a convention breaker, no pun intended. He breaks the traditional political conventions over his knee and does what he desires to do. And, I'm here for it. By the way, public thank you again to young Samuel, who has been sitting in studio with us. He brought us T-shirts, and we appreciate his listening to the show, participating, and offering those presents. We thank
you, Brother Samuel.
Thank you, Brother Samuel.
Thank you, Brother Samuel.
Thank you, Jackson. I was wondering if you were actually going to thank Samuel or not. Say you're welcome, Samuel. Red button. Go.
You are very welcome.
There's Brother Samuel.
There's Samuel. There you go. All right, 2 more hours to go. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hour number 3 includes nincompoops in the news. Plus, Democrats of a bygone era who actually believed in border security, who actually believed in eliminating birthright citizenship? Really? Really? I've got the clips. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Five o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. President Trump just posted to Truth Social Republicans are going to hold their first ever midterm convention. It's going to be in Dallas on September 9th and 10th. He says the event's going to celebrate what he says is the great American comeback. It's going to highlight policy achievements such as no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. He says stronger borders, safest ever communities, lower costs, and real affordability. He goes on to say more jobs, American energy dominance, and so much more. And in our nation's capital today,
this is a special report from ABC News. I'm Michelle Franzen. Ending out their current term, the Supreme Court issuing 3 decisions today. Justices rejected President Trump's efforts to rescind birthright citizenship, the clause in the 14th Amendment affirming babies born in the U.S. are U.S. citizens. Here's ABC's Devin Dwyer.
This is something that every lower court that has looked at it has struck down or sided against President Trump. So in that sense, it's not that monumental, but it is significant given the political significance to President Trump and what he has put into this case, lobbying the justices on social media, attending those arguments in person.
In another case, justices ruled to uphold a lower court ban on trans athletes from playing on school teams for women and girls. And the Supreme Court also issued a decision rolling back long-standing limits on the amount of money political parties can spend in coordination with individual candidates for federal office, saying the spending limits violated the First Amendment. This is ABC News.
Here in Nashville, emergency crews have been handing out cold water, cold towels, and other supplies, checking on people during the hottest time of the day. 29-year-old Logan King filled a cart with cold water and snacks provided by those workers who had stopped at an outdoor homeless camp behind a Walmart.
It's just miserable, honestly. But this helps so much, oh my goodness.
Metro Nashville Social Services conducting welfare checks on seniors and the disabled during this heat wave, even delivering emergency meals. And a lot of people are not happy with Fisk University's plan to add a data center. And News 2 says they showed up at the first public hearing on that plan last night. News 2's Liz DeSantis says a petition against the Fisk data center has grown to at least 16,000 signatures.
Another question the Fisk University project faces is if it will be allowed under regulations for data centers Metro Council is still crafting. Under currently proposed language, the Fisk project would be considered a large data center, meaning it must be more than half a mile away from homes, churches, and community education centers. As it stands, the proposed site on Fisk University's campus does not meet those guidelines.
We're waiting for Metro Council to tell us exactly what those are, and we will adhere and comply.
Now, even as members of the community get their questions answered, the backlash isn't dying down. Black Mental Health Village suspended its partnership with Meharry Medical College over their support for the Fisk data center.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Let's run down the list of crashes. We've got the left lane blocked in Cheatham County, 24 westbound before Springfield Ashland City exit to 24. Clarksville, 24 eastbound past Rossview Road. Highway Patrol reporting 2 separate crashes there. In Brentwood, an accident on the right shoulder, 65 northbound at Old Hickory Boulevard. And in the Blackman area of Rutherford County, you've got 3 vehicles in a crash, 840 eastbound at Veterans Parkway. And an injury wreck, Bell Road, just east of Brookview Estates Drive. That's almost cleaned up. And then in Dixon, we've got a crash on the right shoulder, 840 westbound at 40. I'm Ken Weaver.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy and the Matt Murphy Show on a Tuesday edition, the final day of June. Hope everyone's doing well. Just off work. Thank you for being with us. Just in your automobile, we certainly appreciate you. Maybe you're still on the job or perhaps in your home. We thank you wherever you might be for listening. Give us 5 minutes of the full 4 hours, whatever it might be. We are thankful on the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ken Weaver's back in News Closet B. Of course, young Jackson Williams screens your telephone calls, and generally speaking, make sure that everything that comes out of our speakers sounds as good as humanly possible. My name is Matt Murphy. I'm your humble host and correspondent for 4 hours every afternoon, Monday through Friday, from 3 until 7 o'clock. On Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Obviously discussing the Supreme Court rulings today, birthright citizenship being one of them, males in female sports being another. On the issue of birthright citizenship, it occurs to me that Democrats had a decidedly different take on most of this for most of the nation's history. It has only been recently that the Democrats have changed their position decidedly on the idea that foreigners could come into our country, drop a baby, and that baby would ultimately, I mean, I heard the term anchor babies years ago because that's what they were. That's what was happening. Individuals would come into the country, sneak into the United States of America by hook or by crook, any means necessary, have a child that anchors them to the United States of America because that child is then a citizen by their birthright. Now, for those wondering, there are very few there are very few countries, I should say, that allow for birthright citizenship. I think I looked this up this morning. I think it's around somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 nations of the over 200 nations allow for this. We are one of them. I think Canada is another. I'm sorry. Jackson is looking kind of exacerbated in there. I don't know why. He just made me giggle. Is that Mike? Oh, okay. Is that someone who won't stop talking to you? Just hang up on them. Just hang up on them. No, I'm serious. Just hang up on them. I love every single one of you, and I appreciate all of you. But God bless you. You can find me. Jackson, let me just explain what just happened. Jackson, there were people that were trying to call in that were unable to get in on the call-in line because Jackson had somebody dominating him on one of the lines. And what people do is they call in and they say, I don't want to go on the radio, but, and then they start a long diatribe about what they want to talk about. And I love you, every single one of you, and I appreciate every single one of you. And I'm saying this not because of me and not for me. I'm saying this because Jackson works his ass off in there. And he's doing the job of like 3 different people. He's screening telephone calls. He's facilitating those telephone calls. He's running a radio show. He's running a television broadcast. He's running a podcast. And he really is doing the job of at least 2, if not 3 people. And so for the call-ins, the numbers that I give you are available on the super text or they're available for on-air consumption. In other words, if you want to get on air with us and talk to us about whatever issue you want to talk about, I'm an open book, right? I love taking telephone calls. It's my favorite thing that we do. You call us at the number, 615-737-9986, and we let you on the air. But what we can't do is have you dominate Jackson's time when he's got 14 other things he's got to do by you saying, I don't want to go on the air, but, well, if you don't want to go on the air, then you shouldn't be calling that number. You can text that number. You can email me, matt@murphyshow.com. Hell, go on my Facebook page. You can find my cell phone number on my Facebook page and text me.
You can do that?
What?
Text you?
My cell number is readily available for people.
You don't even given it to me yet.
Well, you're not really people. You're like a thing.
Hurtful.
You know, I defend, I try to protect, and then I lash you with the whip. That's what I do. I defend, protect, lash him with the whip. Don't let him get too uppity, as they say. And so I'm not saying that to be nasty. So I appreciate those of you that care enough to call, that care enough to participate. But what we can't have happen is that you call in, and trust me, it happens not just every day. It happens multiple times a day where someone will call in and Jackson will say, hey, WTN, what's your name, please? I don't want to go on the air, but I need you to send a message to Matt. No. As a matter of fact, Jackson is specifically instructed that he is not to give me any of those messages. And those instructions are from me. And that is to dissuade this type of activity. So I love you. Thank you. Matt@murphyshow.com. Find me online. I'm on the Facebook. I'm on the X machine. There's so many different ways to get in contact with us that don't involve taking up Jackson's time on the telephone. Justice Samuel Alito is an American patriot. We're hearing, NPR, I mentioned this at the beginning of the show. NPR erroneously reported that Justice Alito had already retired. However, there is a rumor going around Washington, D.C., and I was discussing this with young Chris Hand from 9 to noon on Supertalk 99.7 WTN. Hand had a source in Washington telling him that the Alito retirement was perhaps pending and that the Trump administration, source inside of the White House, indicating, and I don't want to get in front of his parade. He'll talk about this at length tomorrow, I'm certain, that his sources were indicating that a judge on the 5th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals by the name of James Ho, H-O, is kind of the leader in the clubhouse. Apparently, James Ho was a consideration prior to Donald Trump nominating Amy Coney Barrett to the court. Boy, don't we wish that we'd gone with James Ho, considering some of her decision-making processes over the last couple of years. But Samuel Alito is expected to make some sort of determination or decision. And frankly, I mean, maybe the sooner rather than the better, sooner the better. If Alito is, how old is Samuel Alito? Let's look that up. I bet you Alito is 80. Maybe he's not. Samuel. I just realized you have the same name as a Supreme Court Justice, Samuel. Probably should have gotten to that a little sooner. Samuel Alito. Oh, no, he's just 76 years of age. Born in 1950. An associate justice who was originally nominated to the High Court by George W. Bush, October 31st, Halloween, in 2005, and has served since January 31st of 2006. So he's been serving on the High Court for 20 years now. Man, time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it, Justice? Samuel Alito said, Congress can and should address their situation. The original meaning of the 14th Amendment does not require inhumane results, and we should not adopt an erroneous interpretation of the 14th Amendment simply out of fear of the consequences of rocking the boat or as a reaction to current immigration policy. Nor should we take the position that our hands are tied by dicta in the sprawling 19th century opinion that is, to put the point gently, very far from the model of careful judicial craftsmanship. Too much is at stake. United States citizenship is precious. Anyone who has attended a ceremony where citizens are naturalized can see that message on their faces of those who take the citizenship oath. Before saddling the nation with a medieval rule, we had better be certain the Constitution requires it. The court's account of the birthright citizenship rule in American law is roughly as follows. After American independence, the British rule of birthright subjecthood was modified in just one way. Samuel Alito calling out the majority's birthright citizenship ruling, saying that they are ruling in such a way simply because of a fear of rocking the boat. It gets even better. Democrats were on the side of American patriotism at one point in their history. In 1993, little audio video here, Jackson. In 1993, Dianne Feinstein had this to say about the issue of birthright citizenship.
Should you have a system where people can come to this country, even if they're well-to-do, get on Medicaid and give birth to a baby and then go back? The answer is no. And we know that Medicaid laws are being used and abused to do just this in the state of California. I'd like to see that stopped. About 13% of the California prison population, costing close to $300 million a year are illegal aliens. I've had judges in Los Angeles and Orange County tell me 1/2 of their criminal dockets are illegal aliens. Presently, a convicted illegal alien has the option of serving their sentence in California or being returned to their country of origin. I think that option ought to be removed.
Yeah, Dianne Feinstein actually believed in the rule of law and the sovereignty of the United States of America back in the day, as did many Democrats, but the Democrats have completely lost their mind. In the meantime, Senator Rand Paul has already introduced a constitutional amendment to end birthright citizenship. Tom Cotton was talking about said same as well. And if you look at the transcript, and I just want to pull this up, and I'll give Andrew Colvett a hat tip of credit because he was the first one that I saw online to bring this up. When this was a part of the official transcript from the United States Senate dated May 30th of 1866. This is from Senator Jacob Howard. Jacob Howard is the individual who introduced the 14th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States. I'm going to read directly from that transcript. Mr. Howard, the First Amendment is to Section 1, declaring that all persons born in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and the states wherein they reside. I do not, and this is him talking now, I do not propose to say anything on that subject except that the question of citizenship has been so fully discussed in this body as not to need any further elucidation, in my opinion. This amendment, which I have offered, is simply declaratory of what I regard as the law of the land already, that every person born within the limits of the United States and subject to their jurisdiction is by virtue of natural law and national law a citizen of the United States. This will, listen closely now, this will not, of course, include persons born in the United States who are foreigners, aliens, who belong to the families of ambassadors or foreign ministers accredited to the government of the United States, but will include every other class of persons. It settles the great question of citizenship and removes all doubt as to what persons are and are not citizens of the United States. This has long been the great desideratum of the jurisprudence and legislation of this country. I want to reiterate the highlighted portion that you're probably looking at right now. This will not, of course, include persons born in the United States who are foreigners, aliens, who belong to the families of ambassadors or foreign ministers. So right now, as defined by this court in 2026 and as defined in the latter portions of the 1800s when this was first decided by the courts, they've decided, well, you know, we make exclusions for these ambassadors and foreign ministers. Well, if that's the exclusion that Jacob Howard offered in the amendatory process, the 14th amendatory process, then why didn't he just say families of ambassadors and foreign ministers? Why did he say families of ambassadors, foreign ministers, foreigners, aliens? So, see, he went on to add additional language. Why was that? Why did he say foreigners, aliens, and then went on to say families of ambassadors and foreign ministers? He clearly indicated that foreigners and aliens are different than families of ambassadors and foreign ministers. This would indicate that the American system of government had no intention of offering those individuals who, by happenstance, were born on American soil the opportunity of American citizenship. But be that as it may, it has been decided by the courts. It has been, it has been decided by the courts, and it has been determined to be constitutional that birthright citizenship is the law of the land. So be it. It is now up to the Congress, an equal branch of government, to do something about it. Justice Clarence Thomas penned what is being described as a scathing dissent, accusing the majority of, quote, repurposing the 14th Amendment to protect its own set of preferred rights that the Reconstruction Congress never contemplated and that cannot find support in its text. Today, the court does so again by recognizing a constitutional right to a citizenship for the children of all foreign-born tourists and illegal aliens. I'm not sure that today's opinion will stand the test of time. The citizenship clause added greatly to the dignity and glory of American citizenship. Today's opinion devalues that citizenship. I respectfully dissent. Good for you, Justice Thomas. I dissent as well. The options that we have available to us now, we must recognize the battle that we're in for our future. Understand something. The political left, they're coming for this court. Birthright citizenship notwithstanding, they are coming for this court, and they will pack it. In order to do so, they have to eliminate the filibuster, and they're going to do that. And if they have to eliminate the filibuster, and in addition to eliminating the filibuster, push through statehood for Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico, they'll do that too. And if they do that, friends, let me assure you of something. The Republicans don't have to worry about a supermajority in the United States Senate any longer. They'll never have a majority again. Or at least it'll be a hell of a long time. You get 2 senators from Puerto Rico and 2 senators from Washington, D.C., and flip Maine with that Nazi up there running against Susan Collins, and what happens then? You have yourself a majority. And by the way, they won't worry. Folks, they've said it. They will pack the court. They will make these states or these territories states. They will eliminate the filibuster, and they will push through their agenda, which is socialism. By their very language, it's socialism. You see, the Democrats have decided that they believe in a big tent. I'll tell you what that big tent represents coming up in just a moment, 24 after the hour. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, friends? Matt Murphy for Timberland Cabinets. Timberland Cabinets are not just made here in the United States of America. I mean, they are made in the good old USA, but they're made right here in the state of Tennessee, which is something particularly special. Founded in Middle Tennessee in 2005, they have an incredible regional and nationwide reputation as high-quality kitchen and bathroom cabinets. Folks, the kitchen is the heart of your home. And if you've got family coming over this holiday, maybe it is reminding you that you're not satisfied with the heart of your home. Maybe your heart is sick in a couple of ways. Maybe you're looking for a revamp. You're looking for a redo. You want a complete remodel of your kitchen or your bathrooms. Look no further than Timberland Cabinets. They have showrooms in Columbia and Franklin. You can make a call. I'm about to give you a telephone number. Talk to Debbie. She's often on the line. Now, if she's not there, leave a message. They'll call you right back. They'll get back to you, and they'll get to the bottom of what you're looking for. They have premium quality cabinet products built for beauty, durability, and everyday functionality, and they are trusted in Middle Tennessee and beyond. And you get the advantage of them being right here, so you don't have to worry about shipping and all that. And, oh, by the way, you can watch your cabinets be made. I watched people's cabinets get made right there in the factory at Timberland Cabinets in Columbia. Isn't that cool? It is cool. TimberlandCabinets.com to find out more, or 931-499-7170. 931 is the area code. 499-7170 for our friends at Timberland Cabinets. Hi, friends. It's Matt Murphy for the Tennessee Men's Clinic, celebrating 12 years in the Nashville area. They started their journey, Evan Bass did, in Nashville, in what is now known as Midtown. They opened up a clinic in the Cool Springs, Franklin area a few years ago. Clarksville came earlier in the year this year. I don't know if it was late 2025 or early 2026, one way or the other. They've been open for about 6 months now. And now there's the Murfreesboro location. Folks, you don't have to wait and you don't have to worry. Almost 20 years now, the Tennessee Men's Clinic has been treating men right here in Middle Tennessee. People just like you. They're led by a team of urologists. If you want the best, I encourage you to go to Tennessee Men's Clinic. Look, every visit includes an evaluation process, and not just because something's wrong, because something might be keeping you away from energetic activity like going to the gym, or activity like a romantic partnership with your long-term relationship. Here's what the deal is. If that's the case, you don't have to live like this, man. It's 2026. It's not 1976 anymore. For $99, they'll offer you a full consultation. They'll get some blood work. They'll figure out exactly what's going on, and you'll find out same day. 615-208-9090, 208-9090, or online at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com.
Full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. And right now in our nation's capital, President Trump is promising an event like none other. He says Republicans are going to hold their first ever midterm convention in Dallas, Texas in September. He says it's going to highlight what he says are policies of the America First agenda. He says no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, stronger borders, safest ever communities. He says lower costs and real affordability, more jobs, American energy dominance. Trump says it's going to be held on September 9th and 10th, the first ever Republican midterm convention that is in Dallas. And reacting to the Supreme Court's decision on birthright citizenship, President Trump says the issue should be addressed by Congress today. He put that in all caps. He says there's no need for what he called a lengthy constitutional amendment process. Speaker Mike Johnson says Congress has got to do something.
This has been grossly abused in recent years, okay? And that is the case that was being made by the plaintiffs in the case, and we're very sympathetic to that because it is a serious problem. We have it's become a birthing tourism.
Meanwhile, in Tennessee, State Democratic Party Chair Rachel Campbell praised the ruling, saying it reaffirms what she calls a cornerstone of American democracy. She added that her party will continue holding Republicans accountable at the ballot box over immigration and civil rights issues. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court upheld state laws that keeps boys who have transitioned to girls from playing in girls' and women's competitive sports. The president saying, quote, big win. That takes that ridiculous situation off the table. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Crashes in the Blackman area of Rutherford County. This is 3 vehicles, 840 eastbound. They're at Veterans Parkway. In Clarksville, the Highway Patrol has cleared one accident. There's just one left on the scene there, 24 eastbound past Rossview Road. Then we've got Pleasant View in Cheatham County, a crash, 24 westbound before the Springfield-Ashland City exit 24. And in Burns in Dixon County, a crash, right shoulder blocked, 840 westbound at I-40 West. I'm Ken Weaver.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Thank you very much for being around with us. We certainly appreciate each of you. 7290 has written in and says, I've not heard a Democratic socialist call for anything more extreme than taxpayer-funded health care and maybe some child care in the way of socialism. These things are popular with the voters. And if you think that regular wing of the Democrat Party is left wing at all in practice, you've not been paying attention. When are we going to stop this Red Scare BS? The only difference between you and Joe McCarthy is about 70 years. If we say enough scary words, the oldsters and reactionary culture warriors will vote against their interests, right? Now, I've responded to 7290. I don't necessarily expect that he or she will take me up on this, but I'm like, you should call me. I'd love to talk to you. I'm also interested in what do you consider the oldsters or reactionary culture warriors? What is their interests that they're going to vote against? Secondarily, I would say this. You've not heard a Democrat socialist call for anything more extreme than taxpayer-funded health care? What do you call abolishing ICE? What do you call abolishing police departments? What do you call socializing or absorbing the private means of production facilities for the purposes of turning them over to the government of the United States of America? How is that not moving us more and more toward socialism? They've talked about nationalizing energy. They've already attempted to nationalize other quote-unquote utilities. They want to nationalize the internet for their own purposes. And I promise you, once they nationalize these things, they're going to process them through the filter of government, and they're going to restrict your ability to utilize them at your leisure. Secondarily, the same types of socialists that have called for nationalizing some of these quote-unquote resources, that have called for abolishing police departments, that have called for abolishing organized federal presence like Immigration and Customs Enforcement, those same individuals also call on an elimination of hate speech in America. They would have already gained that elimination had they the ability. Thank God for the Bill of Rights and the First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States. Secondarily, through their demand for hate speech regulation, they want to curtail your right to observe a religion of your choosing. The UK has seen a lot of this going on social media platforms and in other platforms, and that is what socialists here in America are trying to bring to our country. Number 2, or 3 or 4, I don't know what number I'm on. Second Amendment. These socialists recognize the need to eat into, as best they can, the Second Amendment of the Constitution. And if you don't believe with the ultimate authority of additional Senate seats and elimination of the filibuster, a House of Representatives, a Senate, and a White House, that they would not move forward in doing so without regard for how the liberty-loving people of the United States of America react to it, you're fooling yourself. So that is just a few of the ways that the socialists are saying the quiet part out loud. And besides, even someone like Caitlin Collins at CNN recognizes that they're saying the quiet part out loud. Listen.
The campaign that I saw. Colleagues over at K-File found that one of the candidates who won in New York last week, Daria-Liza Avia-Chevalier, she's running in New York 13, I believe. Yeah. She repeated sympathetic references to communism, Marxist ideology, Soviet figures like Vladimir Lenin. Do you believe that complicates the argument in favor of these candidates who are Democratic Socialists? I think Daria-Liza Avila-Chevalier ran a campaign that convinced the voters of her district that she would stand up and fight for them.
So did Adolf Hitler.
Whatever label...
I mean, y'all understand the reference? What she just said, I believe she ran a campaign that... What?
Up and fight for them. Whatever labels you want to attach to it, whatever she said... I believe that we've got to understand that Big Tent means Big Tent, and voters have to be respected. And so are there going to be disagreements about language she may have used? And I'm not sure when that language was used. The campaign that I saw was very much about what working people want.
By the way, Dan Goldman, as an example, got beaten in New York City. or New York State, not because Dan Goldman wasn't a dyed-in-the-wool liberal. He is a leftist from way back. He got destroyed in his political primary because he was a Jew. Let's be real clear. The Democrats in America have become anti-Semites. And it's time that we just said that. It's also time for nincompoops in the news.
Nincompoops in the news.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is that time, 19 until the top of the hour. It's time to turn our back on the real news. Ken Weaver's been delivering those headlines all day. I've been opining on said same. Let's look all across the great volunteer state, the state of Tennessee. Let's look across these United States of America.
Nay,
the globe. Nay, the globe. We find these nincompoops, we present them to you, and you have the opportunity to vote at 615-737-9986. Guess who won yesterday, fellas? I bring this up because I know who did.
Me.
Sheesh. No, I won. Gosh, guys.
Oh, way to go, Brother Murphy.
Thank you. It was my poop story, guys.
Man, that was...
It was the grossest nincompoop story perhaps of all time.
Terrible.
It was. That one fella and that other fella, and that they were having some form of relations, these two fellas. And if you missed the story, let's just go right over it again. The two fellas, and then one fella started. There was fecal matter involved, and nobody knows what that means, and I don't even want to know. But that's all that I have to say about that. My nincompoop story today will be first.
You haven't given the order yet?
I will be first. I said my nincompoop story today will be first. Ken Weaver's will be second. Yay! And Jackson will take it up the rear. Is that how you say it?
Where's your story from?
Florida. Is that how you say it, Jackson? You say, I'll go first, Williams first, Weaver second, and Murphy in the rear.
What's happening in Florida?
There's a felony robbery going on.
Okay.
This is presented by our guest. So today we have Samuel, who he delivered us shirts, and he's sitting in with us just observing the activities. And young Samuel has presented my nincompoop story today. So mine
sounds like we should vote for Samuel instead of Matt Murphy.
Well, that's fine. Any votes for Samuel will be a vote for Matt. That's how we work that. All right, you ready, Samuel? You ready on this one? Let's do it. All right, yeah. Hey, let Samuel have a little mic here. Samuel, you ready? I'm going to deliver the story that you presented to me, and let's see how it goes. You ready? All right. 5 Florida men are facing felony robbery charges after police allege they held up a man walking home from work. I'll tell you what the theft was in just a moment. The robbery happened around 9:36 Sunday in Winter Haven, Florida, according to Winter Haven police. Investigators said the victim was walking home after his shift when a pickup truck pulled up beside him and 5 men jumped out of the pickup, demanding everything in his pockets. The victim told the group that he only had he had a cell phone and a vape pen. One of the suspects allegedly lifted his shirt and revealed a gun. Can I say that? Or are we going to get banned again?
Just can't show it.
Just don't Good Lord, man, put that back in your pants. If you do that, we'll lose YouTube again. He lifted his shirt to reveal a gun tucked into his waistband. He demanded everything the man had. Police say the men searched the victim's pockets and they took his vape pen. They then demanded his cell phone, but the victim drew a line in the sand and said no. Told them it had a tracker on it. The suspects then got back into the truck and drove away. The 5 different suspects, officers later located the pickup truck outside of a residence. They spotted several men inside that matched the suspects' descriptions. When the men saw the police officers, they ran into the residence and initially refused to come out. Authorities eventually detained the suspects after they exited the home. Investigators interviewed a 17-year-old girl who was riding in the truck during the incident. According to police, she said that she had accompanied her boyfriend and his friends to several stores before they stopped near a cemetery in the area. Oh, don't go near the cemetery, young lady. That's not good for you. The teen told investigators that she did not witness what happened outside of the truck, but she did hear yelling. She later saw one of the men return to the vehicle holding a green vape pen and said that he, quote, got the vape. The vape was valued at $30. Authorities have arrested Demarius Jamal Taylor, 18, Tashawn Williams, 18, Javon Prince Jackson Roby, 19, Martis Spears, 19, and Deshaun Antoine Lampkin, 19. My favorite. Have you seen these mugshots?
Yeah, they got some character to them.
This is my favorite. If you can see that. See that right there?
What a bunch of morons.
That dude right there's got quite the hair. And that is the hair of an nincompoop. All 5 of them. Nincompoopery!
So all they got was the vape pen.
They got a vape pen. They didn't even get a cell phone, Ken. One dude said, you know what?
What a bunch of morons.
The guy just said, no, I'm not giving you my cell phone. And they were like, oh, okay. At least you got the vape pen.
It didn't keep him from getting charged with robbery with a weapon, though.
Yes, they got charged. And they're going to go to jail for a long time for a $30 item, a vape
bunch
pen.
Of morons.
A bunch. You know what, Ken? I call them something
They're
else.
a bunch of nincompoops.
They're a bunch of nincompoops.
Yes, sir.
Ken agrees. Jackson, you don't go yet. Ken, your story, sir.
This here's out of Throop, Pennsylvania. Hopefully you haven't done it yet. A man who fled a bar fight Sunday escalated the situation by greeting investigating officers naked.
Oh, no.
Hiding in a neighborhood bush. Then violently fighting his arrest. 32-year-old Mark Antonio Misiura faces charges of making terroristic threats, disorderly conduct, and fleeing police.
Wait, I'm confused, Ken. Was he hiding? Oh, no, hiding in a bush. Never mind.
Yes, sir.
He was not hiding his...
No.
Okay, very good.
He was out there.
Okay, yeah, he was just everything he's got, they saw.
Police responded to Gino's Bistro around 7 p.m. Sunday, where witnesses said a highly intoxicated Misiura fought with another patron, punched a man who tried to separate them, then fled the scene. Officers tracked Misiura to his apartment, where he answered the door naked, cursed at them, slammed the door shut. After repeatedly darting in and out of the building to evade police, Misiura finally sprinted away. Must be a fast fella.
Yeah.
He ran through several nearby properties before officers found him hiding in a bush. When Officer Michael Gervasi ordered him to the ground and raised his taser, Misiura tried to run again but tripped. Gervasi tackled him, fighting through Misiura's continued resistance to get him in handcuffs. The struggle didn't end there. Misiura refused to get into the patrol vehicle, forcing officers to subdue him. The chaos continued at police headquarters, where he threw himself on the holding cell floor, smacked his head against the wall until officers finally calmed him.
No.
They don't say how they calmed him.
Yeah.
Misiura said that when he gets out of jail, he intends to find the parties involved in the fight. But he remains in the Lackawanna County Prison on $15,000 bail.
What's this fellow's name again?
Let's see here.
It
is 32-year-old Mark Antonio Misiura.
That last name sounds Asian. Is it Asian?
Say that.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I'm just,
I haven't seen a picture of the fellow.
Well, I mean, I'm just every time you say hide it under a bushel. No, I'm gonna let it shine.
Yeah.
Well, he let it shine, all right. Nude.
No shame in his game.
No, you just go, buddy. Congratulations, you're a nincompoop. Jackson. Speaking of nincompoops, it's your turn. Oh, here we go.
Hear ye, the winning nincompoop has arrived.
Yes, great. It's wonderful. I won yesterday.
You ready?
If I win today, I've won the trophy.
You'll have to pry it from me cold dead hands.
Okay, go ahead, Jackson.
Florida woman caught with cocaine in her lower region during jail search. A Florida woman denied ownership of a bag of cocaine that fell from her buttocks while being booked into custody and told jailers that the drug must have been placed there during an intimate encounter with an unnamed partner.
He, without sin, cast the first stone.
During a traffic stop Saturday, Reagan Cox, 30 years old, allegedly resisted a Brevard County Sheriff's deputy, resulting in her arrest on a misdemeanor charge.
Hold on, I thought you said it was in her butt. Did I hear you wrong?
Her name, COX, Matt.
Oh.
Get your mind out of it.
It fell out of her buttocks.
It fell out of her buttocks.
Cox was transported to the local jail, a brief drive from her residence in Rockledge, a city on Florida's Space Coast. During the jail intake process, Cox had to pass through an X-ray scanner, which is used to spot contraband like weapons, phones, or drugs.
Up the caboose.
When jailers detected an anomaly in Cox's lower region, she was brought to a room where she was subsequently seen trying to cover her buttocks area with her hand.
You win every time the story says subsequently.
Upon moving her hand, a baggie containing 3.8 grams of cocaine fell from Cox's rear end. With the coke at her feet, Cox denied knowing anything about the drug, and she speculated that somebody must have placed the narcotics in there during a sexual encounter.
Is this a story about one of the transgenders? I'm confused.
Oh. That explanation, as it were, did not stop police from charging Cox with a second crime, including contraband into a correctional facility, a felony.
Charge the Cox! Charge the Cox!
She was eventually released from custody after posting $3,000 bond. Cox's arraignment is scheduled for July 28th. Any questions?
What are we arraigning?
Oh, that's not mine.
Officer, I don't know where that came from, but it did not come out of my buttocks.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I saw his headline over the shoulder, and I went, all right.
Her name is just too good, too. All-time name for that story.
Absolutely.
How sad is it that we have to have X-ray machines for intake into police departments because of the amount of contraband found up people's rear ends? I mean, my goodness.
You, ma'am, are an nincompoop.
That woman's a nincompoop. That's 3 of them. You get to vote. 615-737-9986. Vote early, vote often, vote Weaver.
Yes, sir.
Vote Murphy.
Vote Weaver.
I guess you can vote for Jackson if you wanted to, if you approve of that sort of thing. That's how we play. Back in a moment with the real news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Friends, if you are just sick to death of these confusing health insurance charges that you don't understand where they're coming from, I invite you to call Shane Ring and Cover Nash. Now, if you talk to a health insurance provider and you ask them about making changes to your program and they talk to you about open enrollment, well, open enrollment's not until later on this year, you know you're talking to the wrong person because you can get around that idea of open enrollment, and Shane Ring is here to help you understand exactly how to do that. They offer incredible nationwide PPO plans that give you the freedom to choose your doctor anywhere in the United States of America without the headache. And I could go over some of the plan for you, but the bottom line is this. Call Shane Ring. Allow him to examine your program. Allow him to figure out where you are with your health insurance, and then let him find a program that works better for you, that is less expensive than your current health insurance. That's what it's all about, getting the most for your money and not having to worry about it any longer for you or your family. That's what Shane does. He provides peace of mind and an incredible knowledge about this industry. Shane Ring and Cover Nash. Call 615-465-0023. That's 465-0023, or online at covernash.com. Covernash.com. Real health coverage on your terms, not the government's. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for Defend Systems. Defend Systems is owned and operated by Brink Fiddler. We hear Brink from time to time on the radio show. We bring him on to help us understand how to best defend ourselves, how best to protect ourselves, because that's what he does on a day-to-day basis. He goes into businesses, he goes into churches and schools, and he helps you understand life safety and security from a real life perspective, right? Active shooter response training, workplace violence prevention, site survey and threat assessment, security improvement consultation, emergency and intruder action plans, rapid response medical training. All of this is designed for the people in your facility and your facility itself. That's what it's all about, helping you understand what to do in the unlikely event that something like this would happen to you. It's unlikely, but the chances of you dealing with something like this, a workplace violence situation or active shooter, they're not zero, folks. That means hope's not a plan. It is time to get trained with the best, trained with Defend Systems. Reach out today at 615-236-6484, 236-6484, or online at defendsystems.com. Defendsystems.com. Call today.
Six o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. President Trump says it's going to be an event like no other. Dallas, Texas, he says, is going to host what will be the Republican Party's inaugural midterm convention, September 9th and 10th, marking a first in party history. He says the event's going to focus on recent accomplishments, which he lists as no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, stronger borders, safest ever communities. He goes on to post lower costs and real affordability, more jobs, American energy dominance, and he says it will feature entertainment and rally-style programming. President Trump says the Supreme Court's decision to uphold birthright citizenship is disappointing for the country. He says Congress could address the issue through legislation, and they need to do it immediately. In fact, he put in all caps, today. Here's Stephen Portnoy.
The 6-3 decision reaffirms the Supreme Court's 1898 ruling that except for the children of ambassadors, all people born in the U.S. are citizens under the 14th Amendment. Chief Justice John Roberts was joined in his opinion by fellow conservative Amy Coney Barrett and the court's 3 liberal justices, while Trump appointee Brett Kavanaugh said he agreed with the outcome of the case. The court's 3 other conservatives, Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, and Neil Gorsuch, dissented.
Supreme Court upheld state laws that ban boys who transition to girls from playing girls and women's sports. And with the heat index expected to reach 114 degrees or above through Friday in Nashville, emergency crews have been handing out water, cold towels, checking on people during the hottest time of the day. 29-year-old Logan King filled a cart with cold water and snacks provided by those workers who had stopped at an outdoor homeless camp behind a Walmart.
Even with the shade and a tent, you know what I'm saying? It's 4 walls closed in, no fan. It gets hot.
Metro Nashville Social Services is conducting welfare checks on seniors and the disabled and delivering emergency meals of non-perishable foods. Big power outage last night in Nashville. Channel 4's Brendan Tierney says a snake knocked out power to about 7,000 people in Bordeaux.
People say they saw a large flash in the distance and their lights and air conditioners went off when it was still close to 90 degrees outside.
Here we go again, because the power tends to go out over here when we have storms or just kind of, a random event that might happen.
The Capehart family pulled out their battery-powered fans and all got together in the living room, but say thankfully the power came back on about 30 minutes later.
Yeah, it was good because,
without the lights, it'd be really hot inside.
The TVA says they don't expect to have any problems making enough electricity to meet the demand this week. They're projecting things to peak well below previous record usage.
A lot of people not happy with Fisk University's plan to add a data center. And News 2 says they did not hold back at the first public hearing on that plan last night.
It's a community that has been hurting for decades, being dumped on by landfills, money being taken out of their community. A whole interstate went right through.
Well, Fisk President Dr. Anjania Clark said no final plans have been approved. No development partner has been selected.
We will have no interest in bringing in methane gas fuel turbine engines. This wasn't a finished deal. This isn't something that's been finalized. We were being transparent and saying this is what we're visioning for our future.
Still, critics remain skeptical, with an online petition against the Fisk data center now drawing more than 16,000 signatures. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Crashes, Blackman area of Rutherford County, right shoulder blocked 840 eastbound past Veterans Parkway. Then in Burns, we've got the right shoulder blocked 840 westbound there at 40 West. Clarksville, they're about to clear this one up, 24 eastbound past Rossview Road. And in Greenwood, we've got Gallatin Avenue at West Eastland Avenue. Goodlettsville, a crash, Gallatin Pike North at Coode Lane. I'm Ken Weaver.
This is Matt Murphy, and this is the final hour of the Murphy Show, this Tuesday, June 30th edition. It occurs to me that tomorrow we begin the second half of 2026.
And it's our Friday.
What do you think about the first half of 2026, Jackson?
Pretty fun.
Yeah. You and I, have we already commemorated a year together, or is that coming up?
Yeah, when was your shoulder surgery?
My surgery was the 23rd of June.
Yeah, because you tricked me.
Mm-hmm.
Because you were like, oh, come hang out for a couple weeks. It'll be fun.
Mm-hmm.
We did 1 week together.
Okay.
And then you left.
So we missed our anniversary?
We did. It would have been the Monday before you had surgery.
Why? You didn't get me a card or anything?
So the 17th.
Yeah. We should have had a little party.
Go to dinner or something.
That's unfortunate. But now that I look at the voting on Nincompoops in the News.
It might be my last day.
On the YouTube chat, it occurs to me that I don't want to celebrate our anniversary with you because you're regularly and consistently mean to me.
No, I'm not.
Oh, you are.
I'm a little sweetheart to you.
So if you just if you haven't caught it, if you've not watched on the YouTube chat back up and running until Jackson says something nasty on the chat and gets us booted off of YouTube again. The voting is ongoing on Nincompoops in the News. And the three choices that you have to vote for, Jackson, we have to do something about you putting your thumb on this scale. You, sir, I would expect, would defend the sanctity and the ceremony, the solemn nature of the voting process. I would think.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, it says here, Jackson. So our choices are Jackson, Ken, or Matt up the rear.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What we say pretty often.
I'm just pointing out that might in some way influence the vote.
No, I think my story influenced the vote.
I understand that you had a lucky story with an unfortunately named lady that decided to put cocaine up her caboose, but that doesn't justify talking about my rear end on the YouTube chat. Far from. Jackson, I expect better of you. A year in, and you're talking about my rear end. How dare you? Prepare to be annoyed, at very least annoyed. Upset, sure. What to do about it? Hard to say.
I say I will take a 2-day suspension this week, Thursday and Friday.
Okay, that's fair. I'll take you up on that. Tammy says 2 votes for Jackson. I mean, y'all are applauding this sort of. I mean, are you using a Dominion voting machine in there, sir?
The water pipe broke. I gotta go fix that.
Oh, do you? Oh, you gotta go ahead and shut down the voting for now and ask everybody to leave while you figure out what happened to the water system here at Super Talk 99.7? That's what you're gonna do? Why don't you go ahead and let everybody go home for the night? You stay around. You'll count some of the rest of those votes.
The voting is ended, and I win, and the water pipe just broke.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to go fix it.
Sandra says, Ken always wins with naked stories. Well, sometimes. I guess not today. The voting is over, by the way. 10 minutes after the hour, we've concluded voting, and Jackson is the big winner. I've won once. Jackson's won once. Let's hope Ken gets the rubber match of the week. Tomorrow.
And then I get to keep the trophy.
No, I don't. We play rock, paper, scissors.
We can't do it 3 ways. So then with a short week, you just keep the previous week's champion.
You keep on yapping, but you ain't saying nothing.
That's kind of my job.
Fair. University of Tennessee, Knoxville. That was your campus, correct?
Yep.
You ever have a professor by the name of, what is her name? Tamar Sharinian? No?
I don't think so.
What
did she teach?
I don't feel like you were an anthropology guy.
Oh, never took an anthropology class.
Yeah, didn't feel like that. Former University of Tennessee, Knoxville assistant professor who was placed on administrative leave for nasty comments that she made following the assassination of Charlie Kirk has now received a settlement for wrongful termination. Jackson, you want to guess what the settlement was? Have you seen this story?
Yeah, I know what the settlement was.
Okay, so $1.9 million. The University of Tennessee Board of Trustees Audit and Compliance Committee approved a $1.9 million settlement for Tamar Sharinian, who taught anthropology at the school, according to the Daily Beacon. University of Tennessee suspended Sharinian following the comments that she posted online after Charlie Kirk was killed at a Turning Point USA event at a Utah Valley university campus. 2 days after Kirk died on September 10th of 2025, almost a year ago, Sherinian said, quote, "The world is better off without him." The professor went on to write, "Those who are claiming to be sad for his wife and kids, his kids are better off living in a world without a disgusting psychopath," she said. She went on to call Charlie Kirk's widow a sick bleep for marrying him. 5 days later, on September 15th, University of Tennessee at Knoxville, UTK, began termination proceedings against Sherinian. The associate professor then sued the school in October, alleging the school violated her First Amendment rights. Sherinian's lawsuit said she made comments as a private citizen on her personal time on her personal device without any reference to University of Tennessee, Knoxville. Sherinian's comment involved matters of great public concern, the controversial political figure, Mr. Charlie Kirk, and his messages of hate, genocide, apologia, sexism, and bigotry, the lawsuit stated. Whatever governmental needs UTK may have had as a public employer, they are insufficient to justify gagging. So the argument here is that a government official, anyone employed by a public entity, cannot be punished by said public entity. I mean, a private employer, I need J-Sync. I'm probably going to have to call an audible and call Fry J in on Wednesday. Now, I understand we've got Johnny Garrett in the 4 o'clock hour. Maybe we'll have to do it at 3:30 because this is ridiculous. Whatever. Sherinian sought reinstatement as an associate professor at the school, but under the settlement, that will not happen. In a statement to 10 News, Sherinian said she was, quote, "very pleased with the outcome." I bet you were. Her attorney, Rob Bigelow, also told the outlet the settlement appropriately recognizes the seriousness of the issues presented while avoiding the time, expense, and stress of continued litigation. "We wish the university, the students, faculty, and staff nothing but success moving forward." Another school in Tennessee, Austin P., reinstated Professor Darren Michael and paid him $500,000 after failing to properly follow the termination process for a tenured professor. This is such garbage. Such garbage. I hope she doesn't get a job as a professor anywhere else. Austin P. sought to fire Michael for a social media post he made after Kirk's death. The theater professor shared a screenshot on social media of a Newsweek headline saying, "Charlie Kirk says gun deaths unfortunately worth it to keep the Second Amendment," in quote. So the argument being made here is that on her free time, that as a professor at UT Knoxville, that this person can say anything that she wants to say, as disgusting as it might be, and there's no recourse for the University of Tennessee. Do I have that correct? The suggestion is that everything's fair game. Now, I would consider myself a First Amendment absolutist with regard to the government's interaction with individuals involving the First Amendment in terms of jailing people, arresting people. At the same time, this is an employment issue. However, she is employed by an agency of the government, public university. What do you say about it? 615-737-9986. It's disgusting behavior. And the reaction of the University of Tennessee has now cost the taxpaying citizen almost $2 million. At least she doesn't get to be a professor anymore. George is next up. Hey, George, how are you?
I'm doing fine, Mr. Murphy. I just wanted to bring up that I agree with the abuse of the birthright citizenship, but getting rid of it might be a little bit deeper. There's another case were you aware of, 1898, involving the Chinese Exclusion Act, where basically they reaffirmed that this time. So, they can reverse themselves, but they reaffirm more than they reverse themselves. The 1898 case involved a Chinese extraction man born of resident parents who were excluded from naturalization by the Chinese Exclusion Act. He went out of the country and came back and was denied entry. It went to the Supreme Court, and they said, no, he was born here as a citizen. That was where that came from. But also, too, Native Americans were also excluded by the 14th because it said they owed sovereignty to their tribe in the United States. They got citizenship in 24, and Puerto Ricans don't really want to be a state. The Democrats would have a problem with that because there's a lot. The last I heard, when they had a referendum, it was statehood was voted down, and you've still got a minority separatist terrorist group in Puerto Rico that wants independence from the U.S. so they can be a puppet of Cuba. I don't think the socialist Democrats would be communist enough for them, but that's my opinion. But like I said, with legislation, you can change an amendment. I'd say chances of passing any amendments these days are, new amendments are kind of off.
No,
but
I mean, I've thought about this, and it's George. You seem like a reasonable guy, and I love taking your calls. I enjoy the conversation, but I've done thought experiments on this. What issue would be so universally accepted that we could see? 38 states, I guess. Mm-hmm. It would take 38 states to ratify, and this is the most common way that we do it. I mean, there is another way to pass an amendment. What is a constitutional convention, whatnot? Yeah. But every amendment to the Constitution of the United States, 17 post Bill of Rights, have been passed in the same way. What issue would be so universally accepted that we could get another constitutional amendment passed, I wonder?
I'm not sure. Remember, the 25th is the most recent, and that was due, that was how to remove a president and the vice president succeed. And that was passed, I believe, in the 70s, and that was the last amendment.
I want to say that the most recent was the 27th, and it was congressional pay.
I may be wrong about that, but like I said, I do know that the 25th Amendment, how to remove the president and the vice president succeed was, in the 20th century.
Right. No, sure. No. And the voting, I think, was 20. I'm going to look this up. I'm almost certain that 27 was congressional pay. Let's see, 27th.
But you remember how the prohibition was repealed by repealing the amendment. That was the same as basically, making
that was 21, 18 and 21.
And the Supreme Court did not overrule prohibition. So basically, I agree with where you want to go, but it's going to be a hard road to hoe.
No, I mean, I understand it. I mean, but it's really the only prescription for, outside of waiting and outside of appealing to, it's what we did with Roe, right? So Roe was decided in the early 1970s. They revisited Roe in the early 1990s, and they kind of revised it to a certain degree and did the trimester system. And then, obviously, Dobbs, they came back, another bite at the apple, and said, no, this needs to go back to the states. This is the second crack at this, and they decided in the same fashion, as you noted. 1898, is it?
Yes, it was, I believe, called U.S. versus something. The man's last name was Ark. He was the son of Chinese residents who couldn't be naturalized because of the Exclusion Act. He went to China to visit other relatives and wasn't allowed back in. And it went to the Supreme Court, and they said, no, you're a citizen.
It's a convention of states. I apologize. I got that wrong. Convention of states is the other way to present an amendment and ratify an amendment to the Constitution of the United States. And I was right. George, thank you for the call. I was right. The 27th Amendment was that Congress could not raise its pay in the current session of Congress. You had to have an election before that pay increase went into effect. That is to prevent Congresses from raising their own pay without having to address the voters at the polls. 26th Amendment was 18-year-olds' right to vote. The 25th addressed presidential secession, as George noted. 18 was prohibition. 21 was repeal of prohibition. I know 17 was direct election of senators, which is the worst amendment ever passed in the history of the United States of America, with the possible exception of women's suffrage. What? Why did I get that look from you? I mean, tell me America hasn't gone to hell in a handbasket since women got the right to vote. What? Maybe these two things have taken parallel tracks and they are mutually exclusive and don't have anything to do with one another, but I'd suggest to you that America has become a far more emotional country with regard to our politics since women have achieved the right to vote. Look, I said 17 was worse. 16 is not good either. That was let's see, 16 was income tax. 17 was direct election of senators. 18 was prohibition. I think 19 was women's right to vote. I don't know what, or 20. I don't know what 20 was, but I think 21 was the repeal of prohibition. One way or the other, we'll walk down all the amendments here in just a moment. Super Talk. And if you want to talk about Jackson's ridiculous comment regarding women's right to vote, give us a call. 615.
That was all Matt Murphy.
615-737-9986. Your mama's going to have something to say to you, Jackson Williams. It's 23 after the hour on Super Talk. I hope you got in today because it was the final day of the huge Genesis Diamonds sale with zero interest financing on everything in the store. Genesis Diamonds does it once a year, and when it's done, it's done. Friends, Genesis is still your one-stop shop for all things designer rings, diamond pendants. Their incredible prices are ongoing throughout the summer. They've got lab-grown diamonds. They've got, obviously, natural diamonds. All varieties. You've not seen diamonds like this until you stop by Genesis Diamonds. Green Hills and Cool Springs. Genesis Diamonds. Go see them. See the incredible Genesis difference. People drive for hours to take advantage of Genesis Diamonds, and rightly so. Friends, I've shopped there. You need to shop there. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. When you stop in the store, you see the beautiful display of rings, designer jewelry, all manner of things of a beautiful and sparkly nature. You know that you've landed in the right spot. Genesis Diamonds. Tell them I sent you to Genesis. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm a little lax in my 11 and 12 on the amendatory process. 13, 14, and 15 were the post-Civil War amendments. 16 income tax, 17 direct election of senators, 18 prohibition, 19 women's suffrage, 20. Oh, you just told me. You just told Samuel just told me what 21 is repeal. 20 was what was 20? Get him. Moving the presidential elections.
Yeah.
Moving the presidential elections. 20 moved presidential, the date of swearing in into January. So it moved it was like March or April or something. 21 repeal. 22 was presidential term limits. 23 was what was 23?
DC. Electoral College.
Oh, DC. Yeah, DC. 24 was presidential secession, etc.
Nope, poll taxes.
Oh, poll tax. 25 president's tax. There you go. I would say we got them all.
And then
what's number
26 lowers the legal voting age, and 27 delays any salary changes for members of Congress.
What's 11 and 12?
And that was 92.
I think 12. I think I looked it up. 12 was that president and vice president run as a ticket.
Right. They require to cast separate votes.
I bet number 11 was really, really, really technical.
It limits lawsuits against the U.S. states and federal courts.
Huh. Well, kind of technical. Tammy says, just so you know, the 2 votes are my husband and me, Ron. Oh, well, I guess the 2 votes for Jackson. She's up. Jackson, did you win today?
I did.
Mm-hmm. Congratulations. You got a speech. You going to deliver us a speech?
I think about these nincompoops, and all I have to say really is, it's time for the news with Ken Weaver on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thought that's my line. Huh. What do you think would happen? All right, so I'm getting back to your calls here in a moment on the issue of the Supreme Court and whatnot. 37 after the hour. A lot of you have commented. I offered the story from the University of Tennessee. This disgusting former professor, Dr. Sharinian, who got a $1.9 million settlement this week after suing the University of Tennessee. Dr. Tamir Sharinian taught anthropology at the school, said just the awfulest things imaginable in the aftermath of Charlie Kirk being assassinated. Called him a bunch of names, called his wife a bunch of names, called his kids a bunch of things. And the school fired this professor. And the associate professor then sued the school in October of last year, alleging the school had violated her First Amendment rights. And many of you have noted this on the super text line, that it seems like everything's fair game if you're a liberal. And if you're a conservative and you offer your opinion on such matters, you're declared a hater, or you're a racist, or you're a bigot, and you have to go. So here's my thought experiment. If you're a professor at MTSU or at TSU or at UT or at ETSU or wherever, Memphis, I guess, and I would encourage you to go online on your own time, on your own platform, and go full Westboro Baptist Church on the gay community. I don't promote this, but just whatever you want to, that God hates the gays, all gays are burning in hell, use the F-bomb, whatever. What do you think would happen if someone did that? If someone just went full-on anti-queer in their remarks regarding the gay community, the LGBT whatever community. Do you think the reaction amongst the leftist liberals who are defending, quote-unquote, the First Amendment would be the same? Rules are for me but not for thee, I suppose. Now, before you say, gay people aren't a protected class. I am fascinated with this concept that the University of Tennessee doesn't have an ability to fire an individual for cause based on, surely there's something within the contract at the University of Tennessee that provides for the ability that they have to fire this lady based on conduct unbecoming the school. If a student went on their own time and talked about how awesome guns were and how much they love guns and how much they wish they could carry. If a student offered their First Amendment right to discuss their Second Amendment rights and how they would love to be able to carry a gun into the classrooms at school, at University of Tennessee, didn't say anything about firing them, didn't threaten anybody, but said, I think guns are awesome. I wish I could carry an AK-47 inside of classrooms, an AR-15 inside of the classroom, sit with it, and polish it at my desk. What do you think the reaction would be? Well, I'm just exercising my First Amendment rights. I wouldn't mind the standard if the standard didn't change depending on the political point of view. But it seems to me, it just occurs to me that the standard changes dramatically based on what the hell you're saying and who the hell you're saying it about. One of the reasons that there's been such a great pushback against this DEI philosophical movement is because of the nature of the standard and how it's okay to be racist against white people when you think it benefits, quote-unquote, people of color, or it is in the interest of diversity, equity, or inclusion. But you put that shoe on the other foot and you're a bigot and you are cast out of society. David is next. Hey, David, how are you?
Hi. How you doing, young man?
I'm great, David. Thank you for calling in.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the show.
Yes, sir.
I On the amendment that was decided today, the 14th Amendment, I know you don't have it word for word in front of you, but if you read it as if you were during that time after the war, if you read the last words, it says in which state you reside in, exactly what state does a Chinese nationalist, when they come here and birth their child and leave the country, exactly what state do they reside in? The United States or a state in China?
Well, it says, I do have that line. It says, all persons born in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and the states wherein they reside.
And the state where they reside. Well, when they come into the country and do this and they leave, they're not residing in any state. The Supreme Court at the time knew that the individuals that were oppressed at that time, they lived in different states.
Right.
So therefore, they were talking about those individuals that were freed, and the state they resided in the entire country.
Well, and clearly, it's a great point that you're making here, David, because clearly the courts understood the people that they were talking about. They were talking about freed slaves, and they understood that the southern states were still smarting over their defeat, and they wanted to make real sure that the southern states did not try to insert any sort of suggestion that they could override. I mean, obviously you can't do so. The supreme law of the land is the Constitution, but I think they inserted that language to say, listen, just because they live in a state where they used to be a slave, that doesn't curtail them from their citizenship in any way. I think you're exactly right.
I learned old English and how to read the old way and understand the language of the time. And anybody that had, my age, back when they actually taught people in school how to read English and I still remember all the. I mean, it's crazy. As old as I am, I remember everything that they taught me. And but reading the old language, you have to, the young people, and especially I guess maybe these young Supreme Court justices have not ever took that class that I don't know if they even offer it anymore, even in college. Old English language, and so if it's going to have to be overturned somehow.
Well, I mean, it's a great point as to what they were trying to accomplish when they include the language about the states wherein they reside. And your point is that clearly the justices didn't see it that way in 1898 when they decided on this Chinese national, because Right. The language is pretty clear. The intent was pretty clear. And it's pretty obvious to most of us that there's been a perversion of the reading of the language for their own modern political purposes. I mean, the fact that the people that wrote this 14th Amendment, they were considering the freed slaves. And perhaps they were considering the very limited number of aliens that had come to the United States of America legally, because there really weren't immigration laws to consider at that time. Immigration law came later. So this idea that they were considering the rights of illegal aliens who were having babies on our country's soil is absurd, because there weren't illegal aliens.
Yes, I'd like to encourage everybody to pull up the Supreme Court. They have a website that you can send in a letter to all the justices that made this bad decision, and write them. And that's the best way to inundate all of them with the correct language and your expression of your personal views, and they actually read them.
Well,
so they need to be inundated with a lot of letters.
Well, certainly it appeals to any future judgments. I don't know that it will have, and thank you, David, for the call. I don't know that it will have any direct impact on this one. My point from the beginning of the show is the same, that we need to recognize that we're in the battle of our lives for the soul of the United States of America. And we can remedy a lot of this. Let's lay birthright citizenship to bed for a moment. And let's say, okay, fine. Regardless of your legal status, if you have a baby here, that baby is legally here. Fine. Pass legislation that baby can stay here, but you can't. And that baby becomes a ward of the state if you so desire to leave the baby behind. Otherwise, you got to go home too. It's time to take a tough love approach to this. Now, a lot of this can be handled by a prevention of allowing individuals to come into this country at all. I've been an advocate for a while now, and I've been talking about for a while on the show. We need a, I started off with a 2-year, and now I've extended it to a 5-year. We need a 5-year moratorium on all immigration to the United States of America. I was watching J.D. Vance and Bill Maher go back and forth over the weekend, real time with Bill Maher. I disagree with Bill Maher, and Bill Maher's a coarse individual, and he's got a lot of weird viewpoints, and I disagree with a lot of them, but I have respect for him because he's intellectually honest. He defends his viewpoint, and he welcomes dissent, which I absolutely love, something that I try to do on this radio show. But he and J.D. Vance were talking about, he was like, yeah, we get what you're doing, but you've been so mean about it. You're going too far with the whole round 'em up thing. And I'm thinking to myself, well, what do you want us to do? What do you suggest we should do about those who are violating the laws of the United States of America? Should we just look the other way? And it occurs to me that a lot of this has to do with timing. People don't like that it's happening relatively quickly. For me, for my money, it's not happening quickly enough. But we should have a moratorium on all immigration into the United States of America, and I would force you to justify any immigration into this country. Now, the Elon Musks of the world, they're very important and smart people, but they would, we've got to have the H1B1 visas and all of these stuff. No, you don't. No, you don't. Train up Americans to do the job. And if we don't have enough Americans trained to do the job, let's invest in training more Americans to do the job and cut out the importation. I don't care how smart these people are. I don't care where they're coming from. Cut out the importation of individuals until we get a handle on those that are in this country illegally. 5 years is what I'm asking for. Shut down the border and shut down immigration. And guess what we won't have to worry about when we do that? Birthright citizenship. If you can't get here, can't have your baby here. If you can't have your baby here, that baby's not a U.S. citizen. Now, is it? It's 9 until the top of the hour on Super Talk. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy here talking about my buddies at the Glock Store. Did you know the Glock Store is not really a store? It's the retail showroom of GlockStore.com, and that's where there are well over 10,000 items for sale. That's why the shop online, pickup in store option is such a popular one, because during their big site-wide sales on major holidays, they have incredible deals which are organized by category, price, and appropriate Glock models. It makes it very easy to find exactly what you want. Now, obviously, you can go to the checkout, you can select pick up in the store option, and in less than 48 hours, they'll call you and let you know that it's ready for pickup at your convenience. There's a hint to maximize your Glock Store time. Now, unless you want to go and see the items and pick them up with your own, fingers and feel of them. Unless you really need your items right away, why not make an appointment for Shoot 270's range session at shoot270.com and pick up your order after the session? A huge selection of great products at great prices, a free pickup in the store option. It's a win-win. I think there's a third win in there. It's like a triple win in my book. Clock Store's retail showroom, and the Shoot 270 indoor training facility. It is worth the drive from anywhere within the sound of my voice. Minutes away from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere. It is the one and only Clock Store. You know, Tim brings up the legitimate point. I thought that UT was did we lose our, I was going to the caller and we lost the caller there. That's unfortunate. So I guess I'll do something else for the next 3 minutes because Jackson has blocked your ability to call this radio show for the last 3 minutes of the broadcast. That's on Jackson, not on me. Oh, by the way, Jackson, did you see that I got at 6:10 in the PM, I got 1,000 votes for me? Did you count those 1,000 votes?
That's a lie.
It's not a lie.
That's ballot stuffing.
It's 1733. 1,000 votes for Matt.
We only count one.
Tim writes in and says, I thought Tennessee was a right-to-work state, which means you can fire anybody for any reason or no reason anytime you want to at all. Yes, we are a right-to-work state. But University of Tennessee is going to be considered a function of government, and government is treated a little bit differently than the private sector. The private sector can fire you for any reason or no reason at all in a right-to-work state. Obviously, I believe that some of that should be extended at least to portions of employment in functions like UT. If this professor had talked about this kind of crap in the classroom, I do believe that it would have been decided differently. She argued that she should not be judged based on her personal opinions on her own time versus her academic performance in the workplace. I would suggest that we need to apply more private sector type standards to what's going on in the workplace in the government sector, right? The UT sector. I would go a step further, says 4990, regarding my theory on immigration over the next 5 years. I'd go a step further. Naturalized or recently arrived immigrants ineligible to vote in national election for a period of 10 years from date of immigration. They need time to become acclimated in the United States of America to become an informed voter before they can vote regardless of affiliation or party. I wouldn't disagree with that. I mean, typically, if our standard is that we're going to require citizenship for the ability to vote, particularly in federal elections, that process takes enough time. And I have found that those that go through the process in the proper fashion are typically the most patriotic Americans you'll ever find. And they don't want to be hyphenated Americans either. They are Americans. Those that go through the process the right way, those that work it, those that understand the blessings of freedom and liberty here in the United States of America, they're some of the most patriotic American people you'll ever find. Speaking of patriotism, it is America's birthday week. God bless the United States of America, and happy 250th birthday to the greatest nation ever devised by man on earth, the good old U.S. of A. Until tomorrow, I want you to have a wonderful evening. For Jackson Williams, for Ken Weaver, Matt Murphy speaking and saying, hug your loved ones. So long, everybody.